Hi, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast, Keeping It Together. I am Bridget White, and I am joined by Dr. Lindsay Crowshoe and Dr. Adam Murray, and we are continuing our conversation about biking and fixing bikes. So, Lindsay, I know that you've done a bit of research in this area, and you definitely have your own personal experiences with it. Could you tell us a little bit about the health benefits of biking?
What brings to mind is just the idea of getting out there and moving your body, right? So there's a cardiovascular benefit that we know. We can look through lots of literature, and we'll share some stuff today about what that just means for your heart and your lungs. And you think about the muscles that are working and the joints. I individually feel amazing if I'm biking, right? I played lots and lots of contact sports and lifted heavy weights for decades, right? And played football. And so my shoulders and knees and all that kind of stuff, if I don't bicycle regularly, they get really sore. And I'm really surprised if I'm like not biking for a couple of weeks, where I find that, darn it, my knees hurt so much. But then I go biking again and it just magically disappears. Like the exertion just kind of keeps the muscle strong. The motion sort of protects the knees. So I get lots of oxygen to the cartilage, and I go for a few bike rides and my knees feel great that whole week. So just physical wise, there's many things, and we can share some of that info. But there's like a whole host of other domains that it influences our life cognitively, mental health. So we'll talk about some of the neurological and physiological aspects that are connected to biking, as well as those very same things connected to repairing your bikes. I have a couple of clips that I took. I was repairing a bike of my brother's, and we'll chat about those things.
All right. Well, speaking of the physical benefits, we found a study from 2015, and we will link all of these articles for you in the episode description. But we all know that aerobic exercise is good for you, regardless of what it is. But a study found that aerobic exercise, specifically biking, increased blood levels of anandamide. It's a natural cannabinoid. Cannabinoids affect the endocannabinoid system, which is the same part of the brain that, marijuana's active components affect. This might explain why people feel that cyclist high. It's the same thing as a runner's high. It's this kind of euphoric feeling where you feel like you can just keep going and going and going and going. So this activation of this system alters emotional and cognitive processes, and it gives the cyclist a natural burst of euphoria and a boost in your mental health. So it's good for your body and it's good for your brain. We found a couple other fun facts for you guys too. Have you ever wondered why you never forget how to ride a bike? This is because our long-term memories are divided into two portions. There's the declarative portion and the procedural portion of your memory. So the declarative memory is mainly the portion of your brain which keeps track of what is what, and it helps us recall those facts for your test, those dates, all those things. And then you have the procedural memory, which is what you use to learn how to bike. This type of memory comprehends how and what, and it's the unconscious memory that helps us understand how stuff works. So once you learn how to ride a bike, you can't forget it because it's stored in your procedural memory. There are other benefits to fixing bikes. So maybe, Lindsay, do you want to tell us a little bit about your own personal experience with how fixing bikes helps you and your mental health?
Like we got to repair things in our life, right? We just can't like let somebody else do it. So there's a bit of self-empowerment all involved in that. It's really connected to just being well and, feeling that you can do things. And bicycle repairing is just like that. It can seem daunting at first, but when you look at the little bits and pieces, it's relatively accessible. As a young kid, no money, but I got a bike and it needed to be fixed up. Didn't have any money to repair it, but I just took it apart and did what I could do, right? Put more grease on bearings, mostly just clean things up, right? Like there's a cognitive part of it too, right? You take it apart, you have all these memory aspects. This goes there, this goes there. That's really, really great for brain functioning. Then understanding the physics of it, right? Tensions and tightness and all that kind of stuff. Those are all aspects of bicycle maintenance. But I would have to say, when I'm fixing a bike, that there's like this meditative state. Worries kind of just go to fall to the wayside. I can focus on this little thing, troubleshoot it, problem solve it, put it back together, feel satisfied about it. But in the 5 to 10 minutes or half an hour it takes to like fix that bit, I it's kind of like meditating. I go deep. I reflect on things. I fix the thing, and I think about other things in life, and I don't feel as stressed out. So there's that connection of it. It's a stress reliever. Plus, in the end, you feel great, and then you have a working bike, and it's cheap, right? It's a great mode for transportation, getting around, and all that stuff. This is a bike of one of my brothers, and he came by on it. He said it took him forever to get here because it was so slow, and he had no brakes. He almost ran over a little dog going down a hill, and I wouldn't
Oh
let him,
no.
wouldn't let him go home on it. And we gave him a different bike to take back. I thought, oh, I'll fix this one up, and I looked at it that evening he came over, and that rear freewheel, where the cogs are, was all wobbly, and the front tire was all wobbly, and he has no front brakes, and his back brake wasn't working, and his gear shifting wasn't working to change gears, and he says it was skipping all over the place. And so yeah, I thought I'll give it a go. Here is the bike. It's the Cougar. So if you look closely at the cross, it's called the Pro Tour. and in the next video, I thought I'd take a crack at working on the front tire.
Oh, geez.
This is a very dangerous bike to be riding.
Well, I'm sure it gives you a little bit more neurological sort of challenging, right? To try to keep it online. Maybe it's a positive thing, right? So anyway, I found that one of the spokes was broken, and so I just set to work to try to straighten it out. I did the best I could. I didn't have time to get a new spoke, which is really the big fix. But I fixed the rest of the. I fixed it a bit. So in the next video, you'll see kind of the simple process for fixing a wobbly wheel. So you can see me. There I am, focusing. I'm meditating. I'm trying to get that tool on that. Not doing a good job. It's like, oh, that's how you do it. Finally. Anyway, so straightening a wheel is tightening the ones on one side, opposite where it's bending to, right? And loosening the ones where it's bent toward, right? So right now I was tightening up on one side of the spokes. And so you'd go around and round and round, and slowly tighten up the sides to bring the tire back to center, and loosen the sides that are where they are off to the center, off to the side. So anyway, that's really meditative. It's like you just slowly do it, and you like think good thoughts, and think about. I was mostly thinking about how my brother would enjoy riding the bike afterwards.
Lindsay, when you're working on this, you're talking about the meditative thing. Is that something that, like, in the beginning it was frustrating, not a meditative experience, but eventually it became that?
Definitely there's uncertainty. I think that a small bike kit is a good place to start. Um, and there's lots of YouTube videos out there. So it's lots of knowledge on hand. Like if we're in our world of making sense of our world, and doing things like the accessing knowledge, learning from it, applying it hands on. It's like being autonomous and making decisions and troubleshooting. You can learn from a bicycle, like from a young person to an old person. I think it's super empowering. I would say that you kind of need a few tools, which are relatively cheap, and a bit of knowledge. Maybe those are some of the things that we can offer in this as part of your kit. Bicycling tools, and some links to some good YouTube channels around fixing key things. Like brakes are really important to know how to fix. Wheel straightening is really important. And then the gearing, those three things. If you can get your head around doing those three things, then you can probably fix almost any bike.
The value of having all those YouTube videos is it's worth emphasizing, I think, because otherwise you would need apprenticeship of some sort, right? You were talking about learning how to do this stuff as a kid, maybe bumbling around and having a bunch of bicycle skeletons all around your property before you get one right. The process that you're describing in the bike repair, because I have similar experiences, putting this deck together or building beds for the kids and stuff, and there being kind of like a zone where like you have to focus on this thing that you're doing, and so you have to kind of cancel out other things that um, would otherwise be annoying or heavy or something, because there's this problem at hand. But the difference is that you see the change that your effort, like you see something that was broken and now it's fixed. It's like, I feel like in our line of work or like with school, it's like you kind of send it out to the universe and you don't know if it's aligned or not. But like with this, it's either you either fixed it or you didn't, right? It's like, it's almost like it boosts your self-efficacy or something when you get it right.
Yeah, it's almost like it's boosting your self-esteem a little bit when you feel like you've accomplished something. By the end, you have a finished product to look back on and say, like, I did that. So we also found a little bit of information from another scientific article that I wanted to bring up. This one is by Marks in 2021. He explored the phenomenon of volunteers in bicycle repair shops in the UK, and he reported that it actually improved mental health. So he used something called the actor network theory to describe the possible mechanism. Theoretical and methodological approach to social theory, where everything in the social and natural worlds exists in constantly shifting networks of relationships. Marx was drawing on this theory, which is by Bruno Latour, and Duff, the man who was working on these bikes, says that it asserts that enabling places are made or created in a series of enabling encounters, networks, and associations. The kind of recovery that seems to happen within these places, so he's talking about the bike repair shop, can be thought of as a particular condition of becoming well that relies for its progress on a cast of human and non-human objects, bodies, and forces, rather than the perseverance of individual bodies. So he's saying the same thing, where bicycle maintenance and repair brings this sort of, assemblage of in which bodies and discourses and technologies and objects are all brought together to perform and create this reality, which is your bike. I thought that was kind of interesting. There's a lot more within this article about this actor network theory, but essentially said that the volunteers that were working at this bicycle repair shop found remarkable differences in their mental health. And it's the same thing. It's that meditative process, using your hands, people coming together, feeling accomplished, and having this working bike at the end, which you can gift to somebody else. I think that's it for now. Thank you guys for joining today, and thanks for talking about biking. It's been lots of fun to talk with you guys today. So this is our podcast, Keeping It Together. You can reach us on our social media, which is linked. It should be linked in the description of this video on the website. You can email us as well, or DM us, or contact us through our social media. Yeah, thanks again for joining us. It's been lots of fun.